That story broke this week. The news came out this week because it was only over the past week when the Associated Press was notified about this. Usually, in their Justice Department guidelines, the Justice Department is encouraged, it has its own rules and regulations that you go to reporters, you subpoena reporters as a last resort, and that when you do so, you notify the news organization and you try to reach a compromise about how the news organization can provide information that is relevant to your criminal investigation. But Eric Holder, who recused himself initially and passed this on to one of his deputy attorney generals, nonetheless, he gave a news conference this past week in which he was under fire from reporters about how is it the government could be engaged in such a broad and far-reaching sweep of reporters. Because, again, everything that reporters did during that 2 months, whether it was related to this particular story or not, the government knows about it. The government now knows who these Associated Press reporters were talking to on every story during that 2 months. Which government officials were they talking to? How often? Eric Holder, here's how he defended the Department of Justice's actions this past week.
This was a very serious leak, and a very, very serious leak. I've been a prosecutor since 1976, and I have to say that this is among, if not the most serious, it is within the top 2 or 3 most serious leaks that I've ever seen. It put the American people at risk, and that is not hyperbole.
But it's also, Attorney General Holder, that is also completely out of context, and shame on you. Shame on you. You know full well you were being asked about the monitoring of the Associated Press. You were not being asked specifically about the government sources who gave that information to the Associated Press. You were asked at your news conference over and over again, why is the government spying on our reporters? Now, it's fine. It's fine if the Attorney General wants to say, well, look, let me first talk about the government sources that gave him this information. And if you're going to do that, then fine. Explain how it was that you investigated those government sources. What did you do? Did you investigate? Did you monitor phone calls of the Central Intelligence Agency agents that were in Yemen? Did you monitor the national security establishment involved in that operation that people might have had knowledge who might have passed this on? Instead, the Attorney General, the Obama administration, being asked specifically, why are you going after the Associated Press? And Eric Holder makes it seem as if the Associated Press harmed national security and put Americans in danger. Shame on you, Mr. Attorney General. For that alone, you should resign.